GTA San Andreas gives you the ability to sculpt CJ however you want. You can make him fat, you can make him skinny, you can make him jacked. But what if hiding behind your CJ, Rockstar hit a personality test that says more about you as a player than you might have ever realized? Are you living out a gangster alpha male fantasy as a Carl Johnson that can bench 350 pounds and run a marathon? Or are you projecting a comedic satire of self-deprivation and irony as Fat CJ? Choosing one or the other doesn't necessarily connect directly to the player's body type, but the way we project ourselves into virtual worlds and avatars does connect to a psychological thread taking root within the player's subconscious. And in GTA San Andreas, that thread might reveal more about your identity and sense of humor than you'd ever be willing to admit. Before we go any further, please like, comment, and subscribe on this video. I appreciate your support, and let's get back into it. To maintain either Fat CJ or Ripped CJ's appearance, you need to make a conscious choice. CJ can only remain jacked if he frequently goes to the gym and lifts weights, which takes time out of your playthrough to accomplish. Similarly, Fat CJ can only maintain his body weight by frequently eating at fast food restaurants, purchasing and eating multiple meals at a time. There is a conscious decision being made by the player to pursue either of these body types, meaning they have agency in the projection of these appearances, and they don't just happen by default. And in the logic of this test, those little choices, what you do between missions, what you avoid, and what you seek out, are the answers you're filling in without even realizing it. Whether or not you play as Fat CJ or Jacked CJ changes San Andreas as a game too. For starters, specific dialogue is unlocked, and some missions cannot be played if you're too overweight.
Truth! How are you?
In better shape than you, fat ass.
Come back here when you've lost some weight, fatso.
But the overall tone of the story changes as well. When CJ's ripped, San Andreas feels like a blockbuster action movie. When he's fat, it feels like a comedy. Cutscenes and gameplay take on completely different connotations, and you can almost play two different games depending on the body choice you select. This is the part of the test where the game quietly asks, do you want to immerse yourself in a crime epic or break it apart just to see what happens? It changes the gameplay too. CJ's ability to run or swim is significantly decreased when he's overweight and significantly increased when he's in great shape. When players choose to maintain an obese CJ, they're effectively making the game more difficult for themselves, and when CJ's in shape, you can run and swim faster, making some of the game's cardio-based missions a breeze. So now that we've covered that all in detail, what subconsciously goes on in the player's mind that leads to them choosing either Fat CJ or Ripped CJ? One possible answer lies in how we project ourselves or our ideals into avatars. Psychologist Sherry Turkle described virtual characters as, quote, the masks through which we speak. And in GTA San Andreas, that mask can either be a ripped action movie hero or a walking meme. A jacked CJ feeds into the fantasy of control, dominance, and masculinity, the classic hero mold American audiences have been conditioned to recognize, whereas Fat CJ does the opposite. It dismantles that fantasy, leading into absurdity, rebellion, or even self-aware parody. When CJ's in great shape, it might be easy to assume the gamer is living out an idealized body fantasy. Achieving this physique in the real world would take years, but head to the gym 4 or 5 times, and all of a sudden CJ is ready to compete in a bodybuilding competition. Women on the street fawn over him, his clothes look better, and even the way he holds his weapons is more intimidating. Some simply just want to look like a badass, but jacked CJ also more closely fits the narrative arc of GTA San Andreas. As the character's story goes from owning nothing to defeating his enemies and becoming the king of San Andreas, it's fitting that his body would evolve into that of a dominant figure. If GTA San Andreas is allowing players to live out their action hero redemption story fantasy, it makes sense that the main character would look like Vin Diesel or Dwayne Johnson instead of Fat Albert. He also feels more canon. His physique matches the tone of the game's climactic moments, the rooftop shootouts, the desperate escapes, the final confrontations with the city's most powerful figures. Seeing him in these cutscenes ripped and battle ready feels narratively correct, like the story has been built around this version of the character. Anything less can almost feel like you're watching the wrong actor play the role. Jacked CJ changes the rhythm of San Andreas. Missions that would otherwise feel tense suddenly become fluid. When you can outrun the cops, swim across an entire lake without stopping, and knock enemies out cold with a single hook, the whole city feels smaller, more manageable. You're no longer reacting to the world's threats, you're dictating the pace of the game. That shift from survival to domination can be addictive, especially in a game where power is the ultimate currency. Whether consciously or not, it's a way for the player to insert themselves into a narrative where they can look, act, and be the kind of hyper-capable figure pop culture tells us will win every fight. The player gains a kind of mechanical authority over the world as they run faster, punch harder, and survive longer. It satisfies the psychological itch to master a system and remove vulnerability. In the personality test, this is basically saying you prefer a power fantasy. But what about Fat CJ? On a subconscious level, CJ, after one too many well-stacked pizzas, appeals to the player who doesn't feel the need to dominate the game's systems or even wants to push back against them. He's the avatar of the class clown, the chaos agent, the contrarian who sees the right way to play the game and immediately chooses the opposite. It takes the action hero movie of the summer and turns it into the year's best comedy. And in this version of the personality test, the player's basically saying, I don't need to win, or at least right away. I just want to make my own rules. And some players want to subvert the hero fantasy altogether. Fat CJ is an intentional break from the pop culture blueprint of what a protagonist should look like. He's often chosen by the player who thrives on unpredictability, who treats the open world as a playground instead of a proving ground. They're not chasing mastery over the system, they're chasing moments that make them laugh or that feel uniquely theirs. For them, the win isn't completing a mission flawlessly, it's breaking the mold so that the story becomes something only they could have played. And you see this juxtaposition in outfit choices too. Jack CJ is often sporting tank tops, jewelry, basketball jerseys, and sunglasses. Fat CJ is rocking some boxer briefs with hearts on them, a purple jumpsuit, or something else that completely breaks any semblance of realism the game might have had. They're two completely different characters, but in the eyes of the test, both are telling the truth about the person holding the controller. But what really makes us choose one over the other? We've all heard that games let you be whoever you want, but the reality is a little more revealing. The character you sculpt isn't just a skin on a pre-written story, it's a version of you, or the you you'd like to be, dropped into a lawless sandbox. In San Andreas, CJ becomes that projection, whether you're consciously shaping him to fit the power fantasy, or warping him into something that completely undercuts it. And this is where that personality test hides in plain sight. Given the freedom to make CJ into anything, do you instinctively chase the optimal build, the peak of capability, or do you sabotage him for the sake of humor, rebellion, or curiosity? That single choice maps onto deeper patterns. How you approach challenge, how you react to rules, how much you value appearance over outcome. Even in other games, this is the same instinct that makes someone max out charisma instead of strength, or give their MMO character a ridiculous face instead of one that's more serious. The avatar becomes your answer sheet. And really it breaks down to how seriously you're taking the game, right? Do you want to play through the events of the story as if this is realistic, it actually happened? Or are you going full-blown video game mode and you want to give your character a blonde afro and heart boxers and just make CJ look as ridiculous as possible, because at the end of the day, you're just here to have fun, so who cares? When you pick jacked CJ, you're not just building a body, you're asserting control over the game. You're telling it, I want to run this city, I want to be the most capable person in every scene, I want the story to move like it was built around me. When you pick Fat CJ, you're making a different statement entirely. You're saying, I'm not here to follow the blueprint, I'm here to twist the tone, to make the story play out in a way that only I could create. Two paths, two outcomes, same starting point, but in the context of the test, both say something about the player behind their CJ. And that's the beauty of San Andreas. The game never tells you that this is a test. It never gives you a score, but every trip to the gym or to Cluckin Bell, every outfit you pick, every choice to optimize or sabotage, it's all part of the same answer sheet. There's no correct result, only the reflection staring back at you through CJ. Maybe you picked the chiseled crime boss who moves through the city like it was built for him, or maybe you went with the wheezing kingpin and heart boxers who can barely climb a fence. Either way, the choice says something, not about Carl Johnson, about you. And if you played enough video games with customizable characters, you probably know what lane fits you best. I think this is interesting. For me personally, I've played through GTA San Andreas probably 3 or 4 times now. And the first couple times, I maxed out CJ's muscle. It was the power fantasy, right? I wanted to be badass CJ. I wanted to look like the crazy gangster who's gonna defeat everything in his way. And then when I got to my third or fourth playthrough, I wanted to mix things up. I wanted to make him look goofier, you know, make him fat, put him in a goofy outfit, and just kind of see how that changes the experience of playing the game. I don't think it's inherently deep as much as saying like, oh, if you pick Jack CJ, then you're vicariously living through his body, or like if you're fat CJ, then you really have insecurities about the way you look. Like I don't think that's, you know, remotely what I'm trying to get at here, but I think it's interesting to look at what part of the reality of the game you're accepting based on the CJ that you select. Like if you are taking the story seriously, granted it is crazy and over the top, but if you want it to be grounded enough to like live out as a story that's realistic and grounded within its own context, then you probably pick a CJ that looks more realistic and fits the story better. Maybe you wear Grove Street threads throughout the whole game, or a specific outfit for different scenarios. But if you don't care, you're just having fun and you just want CJ to look goofy so you can have a good laugh in cutscenes when he's saying something really serious and dressed like a complete idiot, then hey, there's nothing wrong with that. And that's all I got for this video, guys. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. I will catch you next time. This is Mike, GTA Analysis. Have yourself a great day, and we'll see you soon.